August 16th, 2022 at 6:01 p.m. and I'm going to call it to order and start with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So who's going to do roll call?
Looks like you.
No. I'll do roll call because we don't have this down here. So Commissioner Vaughn?
I'm here.
Commissioner Pardee?
Here.
Commissioner McDowell?
Here.
Commissioner Beck?
Here.
And Commissioner Higuera is here. Number 3 is a public comment. This is set aside for anyone that would like to address anything that is not on the agenda. You got 3 minutes. Is there anybody there? Anybody interested in public comment tonight?
Looks like a couple of people on there, but I don't know what they're on for.
Their hands aren't up, are they?
Well,
okay, and I don't see. All right, I don't see anything. All right. So I see nothing for public comment tonight. Bear with us, audience. It's challenging. I haven't been doing this. Okay. Number 4 is the Miller Produce Stand Conditional Use Permit. Kyle, do you want to give us a little?
Yeah, I'll walk through this. Good evening, everyone. For anyone who doesn't know, my name is Kyle Rathbone. I'm serving as an interim contract city planner for the city. This is a pretty simple project. I can run through it here. This project is a conditional use permit application for the placement and operation of a produce stand to conduct on-site sales of homegrown produce on a residential property. The stand would consist of a fold-up 4-posted 10-foot canopy and folding tables, and customer parking would be made available off the applicant's driveway. This is located at 555 Old McLeod Road. So this application was submitted with all of the required elements for a CUP of this type back in June. Before that, it was originally a home occupation application, but the presence of on-site sales and the potential customer traffic that can bring necessitated a CUP under the code. For environmental review, this project qualifies for a categorical exemption with class 1, 4, and 11, as it will not ultimately pose any significant change in use or development or cause any land or environmental alterations. And a notice of exemption has been prepared. And so for staff findings, basically the only issue with this project that has prompted this CUP is the presence of a stand conducting on-site sales on a residential property. However, given the very limited scale of the physical stand and its operations, and with the accommodations for parking, it is unlikely that this project would significantly alter the residential character of the neighborhood or cause a nuisance to neighboring properties. So staff recommends approval with conditions of approval, and these conditions are just the details of the stand in operation. Hours would be 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., no more than 4 days per week. Parking spaces available off the driveway. Stand would be disassembled when not in use, and it'll follow the site plan and given design. And of course, the commission can add more to these.
Requirements for neighboring properties, and does that vary by zone? And if it's like R1, that's my first question.
Sorry, what was that again?
That's my first question.
Or what was I missed the start of it.
Are there any noticing requirements for projects like this? And does that, if so, does that vary by zone or density?
Yeah, the noticing is just the standard noticing for the conditional use permit, which is, I believe, 300 feet around the project site. And so that was carried out.
Are adjacent to this property that's affected were notified, and how are they notified?
Kathy at the city took care of that. I assume the usual way of mailers.
There's a usual way, and is that how it's normally done? Just they receive a letter?
Lately, there's been no consistency from what I've seen since I've been on the commission.
In this instance, do you know if letters were sent out?
I just know that I had given the noticing form to Kathy at the city, and she said that it would be done, and I assumed that it was all carried out.
And that's great. Thanks. The other thing, I would think on certain size properties, disassembling the, what you call it, every night or every whatever wouldn't be needed. But, I mean, I don't know if is that a condition that was put on the use, or?
Yeah, so that was something that they had offered up in their project description, that it can be disassembled every day. If we don't think it's necessary, we can definitely remove that.
No, if it's their ad and they're considering their neighbors or whatever, I'm happy with it. I was just curious where it came from.
Okay.
That's it for me, thanks. I'm good, thanks.
David?
My only concern is the parking spots look to be dried grass, so I would think that they would need to have like a gravel actually put in for parking spots, but besides that.
Kyle, did you get that?
Yeah, sorry. We can certainly make that a condition of approval if the commission feels it's.
Is that what you were asking, or were you just asking if there is one?
Both. Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe ask the applicant when they speak. Based on the photographs, I think it might just be dried grass, but not positive.
And I confess to being a little bit confused about the two projects. They're not related, are they?
No, they're not related. They are virtually the same thing. Very similar produce stands. I think one was kind of the inspiration for the other of sorts.
Who's going to monitor if these things are taken down every day or not?
I'm not sure. I don't know who or how the city usually handles monitoring this kind of thing or conditional use permits.
Are there any insurance requirements that they have to have?
That might be the better thing to ask the proponent.
Well, he might know if he's requiring, if insurance is required or not.
Yeah, I don't believe insurance is required at all for this.
Okay, I'm just thinking liability or whatever. Okay, what is the general policy of the city with regards to these permits? In other words, is there a limit of how many of those there can be, or can everybody just all of a sudden decide they want one?
Yeah, there's no hard limit, but this whole kind of process for obtaining these permits is at the discretion of the city and of the planning commission.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, at what point does somebody say, hey, we got a bunch of these all of a sudden?
Yeah, I guess that would probably be up to the decision-making of the commission. There isn't, any sort of language in the code about it.
I know that even around the corner from my house, there's a stand all of a sudden that's just there, popped up, and I don't know if they're even, permitted to be there or anything else. I'm just starting to wonder where I've seen at least 3 instances, all of a sudden these two and one around the corner from my house. So I'm asking. Be honest and say, hey, if I was I asked actually people that I know, everybody seems to be in favor of one of these, but then I asked them if they want one next door, and they all said no. So these are kind of things that are going through my head. And I note that there was a neighbor complaint, so somebody must have got noticed somewhere along the line. I think, do we know which, if this is the correct one, do we know which 4 days they're planning on doing this?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I might have been told and forgotten, but
Okay.
we can verify that with the applicant.
Okay, and it might not sound like it, but I'm actually, I have a pro-business background, but I just am also thinking about, we're here to think about our community, and, again, if we have a whole boatload of these, all of a sudden everybody decides to have one because their neighbor's doing it, there's got to be some sort of, I think, policy or limits or something that needs to be established.
Yeah, the kind of public nuisance aspect is definitely, if there is an issue with it, is kind of the thing there. But for this project, at least, given the kind of design of the property and where it's located and how they have parking available off the driveway.
And certainly, I also want to state that I'm a small business, especially. I'd like to, help support, but I do have these concerns that I've brought to your attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for me.
Paul, do you have anything to say?
Yeah. So I'm very familiar with both locations. You probably are aware, Belinda, that the Miller application is the site of the old co-op where vegetables used to be sold back in the 70s, maybe into the early 80s. And that's something we used to do a lot of around here. There was also one down at the other end of town on Reginato Road. And then also the second applicant, Pandora Kane, as the crow flies, she's less than a block away from Miller. And but you have by road, it's probably over a half a mile, but they're almost backdoor neighbors. I know the one, particularly the Miller project, is ideally suited. I think the pictures are misleading because I've remember from the 70s, and I've been there in recent history, and there's plenty of turnaround space and parking along that driveway and out front, and it abuts the neighborhood that the Kane project is in. So I just wanted to let Commissioner Boyinger know a little bit about the background of particularly the Miller application. Like I said, it used to be a produce stand eons ago for quite a few years around here back in the 70s. Anyway, I don't really have any questions. I just wanted to make that clarification for the commission in case they were unaware of that information.
Anything else, Paul?
No, I'm done.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about moving around with I'm on my tablet and I'm trying to hear and I can't seem to get the volume up. So sorry about that.
Okay. So I'm going to close the commissioner questions. Oh, wait.
One last thing, is a business license required?
Should be.
I believe that they have a license for the sale of produce for this Miller stand. They formerly had essentially this business at the old farmers market.
I guess we'll ask the applicant, or I would think that a business license makes.
Well, I think
think-
we have, we
Clarify
can,
with them.
I think, we can get better detail from some of the stuff from the applicants, what they've done.
All right, that was it. Thank you.
Okay,
I do have one other concern I want to mention, because I know that one of the things that have been before us already is the concerns about along Mount Shasta Boulevard, where there's these non-commercial buildings that are acting, they're in a commercial capacity. So I'm wondering about the consistency of all this and how we're going to address it. There's even signs that are, commercial signs that are up on non-commercial properties in town. Well,
so, okay, well, we can ask the proponents what kind of signage they're doing, because they shouldn't.
well, it's just
Kyle,
the use, it's land use.
Have they had signage, do they have permits for signs or banners?
Yeah, for this, I don't believe that signage is really involved, other than the actual stand itself.
At the canopy type of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the farmer's market, okay. All right, have anybody else? Nobody. Okay, I'm going to close this part and ask the proponent, the Miller produce stand proponent, to come up to the microphone and introduce yourself and give us your address.
Hi, I'm Jim Miller from Sweetwater Farm, and I can answer any questions you have as best I can. Hi, Kyle.
Dawn, you had a lot of little, do you remember the questions, or would you like each? Okay.
Sure, I'll try my best
Address what
to
you
remember
can.
those, sure.
Yeah, go straight forward.
This property is just under 2 acres, and we do have quite a bit of space in the area that we're proposing to put the stand. I don't think we'd have any trouble with parking if we needed to have more than just 2 spots. I didn't note it in my application, but our intention was to put some sort of gravel parking area down. The grass is going to be too rough, and we would level that out, scrape out the grass, put some gravel down for parking. We have an asphalt and gravel driveway, so that would tie in with that cleanly. As far as we have a business license with the city, and we have for several years. We've been certified organic with the state and the federal certification program since 2014. And we've been selling produce CSA style, which is subscription to the farm style, farm itself and the produce on the farm. So this isn't, this is more of a different way of selling. We were at the farmer's market, but when COVID hit, we discontinued that and thought this might be a better way for us to, we're retirees, this is a hobby farm, and it's just a little easier. Let's see some of the other concerns. Insurance, well, we carry all our homeowners insurance. We do not have business insurance. If, depending on the insurance requirements, that could be a deal breaker. So we might have to revert to something where people don't come on our property. We'd either go back to the market or we'd go back to the CSA delivery setup.
Check with your homeowners insurance.
Oh, sure.
Because that's the,
Yeah.
you're the one who's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, they love to do that one, huh?
That's a good idea, thanks.
Ellen, go ahead.
First, thank you. I think this is providing this to community is an excellent thing. I don't think we should enforce the requirement for insurance, but as was said, it's kind of
Great suggestion, thanks.
it's on you. So that's good. You've answered the questions I had.
And I know I didn't know if I got the,
Well, I'm going to go down the.
sure.
Down the road. No, David's good? Vaughn?
Okay, so is there a health department requirement?
when we got our business license, the health department became involved if we did any food preparation. They would require a commercial kitchen with all the inspections and certifications that would require. We're not doing any prepared foods, and with the home occupation program in California that I had to learn about to make sure this was something we wanted to do. They also seem to follow suit with that, in that no health department inspections or certifications are needed if you don't do prepared food. If it's just fresh produce with no cooking, no preparation of any kind, I think they were okay with dehydrating, but anything that's cooked requires a health department kitchen permit.
Are items weighed or just sold by the each?
We do both, and in order to handle the weighing, we had our scale certified with the county. They checked the measurements on it, same as the requirements as at the farmer's market.
And speaking of the farmer's market, now that it's open again, is there a downside of just putting it there?
It was for us because we had this ideal spot to put this. Like I say, this is an old dairy farm. It's got more of a rural characteristic than it would urban. Even though we're zoned R1, if you look at the property, it would seem like that's an unusual R1 property.
But it's still R1.
Yes, I know. I'm respectful of that.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't want to seem overly concerned here. I'm just, we're here to ask questions and learn and figure things out. And have you talked to your neighbors about this at all?
Oh, yeah.
And?
They said to be sure that if we got any pushback, to let them know. They would be in full support of what we're trying to do. And I would have to say that this is 8 out of 8 neighbors.
Okay.
Much of our sales go to our neighbors.
All right. Then my only other questions are still for our temporary planner.
Okay.
All right.
Is this the appropriate time for, I have questions also.
Sure.
Okay.
I would think.
In our application, we asked about the fold-up canopy and having it removed, and one of the commissioners stated, did that really need to be done? That would be a huge plus for us if we didn't have to take the canopy down.
Are you doing 4 days in a row or 4 days spread out over the week?
We're considering 4 days. We're considering. We don't know yet. We're going to try. I don't know if our produce will rejuvenate if we do 4 days in a row. It'd be better if we could skip a day, I think, just because the produce would have a chance to catch up. I guess that's if we're successful. But,
How visible is the canopy, the location from the public street?
Well, if you, on our front property line, in our gate, I'm going to say the canopy sits back from that 20 to 30 feet. So it's not on the road, it's in a ways.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it staying up myself. What
Mayor,
color
if
is
you
it?
We've got 2 canopies, a choice of 2, a white one and a bleached out blue one.
Nothing bright pink or anything like
No.
that?
The other question I had, but
Oh, go ahead.
I don't want
No,
to jump
I was
in
just,
too early.
I'm ruminating
Okay.
in front of you, right there.
And I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask for this or not, or maybe this is a supplemental permit that I ask for later on. And you can give me feedback on if I'm even spending my time wisely or should forget this now. In a perfect world, we would build a wood farm stand off the side of our driveway.
That's going to have to, I can tell you right now, the second you pick up a hammer and a nail, you're going to have to talk to the city.
Got it. I brought a photo of an example.
No, I know that it's all fine, but that's not our,
It'd be separate, yeah.
yeah.
Got it.
Code is anything under 120 square feet, doesn't it?
Yeah, we'd be talking about well under that.
Yeah.
Under or over?
Under.
Under?
By 10.
Oh, this is a farm stand. Our canopy's 10 by 10, and we would need something not much bigger.
Well, that's, I think it's 100 square feet, isn't it?
120.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can do a dozen of
So we're
them.
okay with up to 120.
Well, I'm not saying it's okay, but you
I
should
could
still.
check with the
Yeah,
building
check with the city, make sure they don't say anything.
Please do, that's.
Sure.
And how many months do you think you are going to be able to provide produce?
We're usually July through October would be about right. And, yeah, July through October.
Paul, do you have any, because you're not, I don't see you anywhere. Do you have anything?
No, I don't. Like I said, I'm pretty familiar with that location, so, and it was used for that in the past, so I don't really have any questions. And all the questions posed by the commissioners were answered anything I might have had in mind, so.
Okay, then I'm going to,
I have another question
Oh.
for him. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, well, I don't want to have to do that. So what kind of customer count are you expecting during your business hours, 4 days a week?
Well, as I mentioned in the application, I doubt we'll have more than one, maybe two cars at a time, and typically there's only one or two people in those cars.
Yeah, but I mean total day, from 11 to 4. What?
Oh, 20 maybe?
So 20 car, I'm just thinking out loud, 20 cars on Old McLeod Road. Okay, all right.
okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Now I would like to, if there's anybody out there in the other part of the world that would like to make a comment, now is your opportunity. Do we have any public comments? Any public comments? No hands up? Do you see any? Nothing?
No.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing part of this. And commissioners, now we just need to decide, well, I would like to say that I think it's great to encourage some self-sufficiency in produce in this area. And that, I know that piece of property really well. It's actually kind of perfect for it. And he seems to be, you know, these things are going to balance out because they may decide it's not even worth the trouble for next year. And we don't know how it's going to go because we've never had anything like this. So I'm kind of open to have this go forward. And I would like to be able to put a condition of approval to have him not have to, if he's not have to take his canopy down if it's 20 feet back from the gate. Something.
Does it need to be a condition of approval, or, I mean, to say?
I think we'd have to say something in here.
Okay.
Because it says he's going to, right?
Right.
We can,
No, that makes sense, okay.
I mean, Kyle, is that okay? Hello?
Yeah, I can strike that from the conditions of approval. And were you saying that you wanted the condition for having it like set back 20 feet?
Well, we need to discuss that a little bit more. I just threw that out there because he said that's about how far back the canopy was going to be.
Do we know how wide the right-of-way for Old McLeod is up there? What is the right-of-way width for Old McLeod up there?
It's just around the corner from my house. I'm just trying to think.
Width of
60
the road?
No, the width of the right-of-way. The road exists within a right-of-way.
The road is not real.
I know the road, I know the pavement section is narrow. Is it 60 feet? I don't know.
What are you asking?
Well, I would suggest that whatever structure would put up would have to be outside of the right-of-way.
So many feet back from the right-of-way?
Yeah, I don't know that it has to be much further than the edge of right-of-way. It just shouldn't be in the right-of-way. That's my...
I would assume as fence and gate.
I would
aren't
think
in
so
the
too.
right-of-way.
I just don't know what the right-of-way is, but I've seen fences and gates in right-of-ways.
Yeah.
But that's still quite a ways back off the street. And if he hasn't had any neighbors that have,
I'm just curious what the right-of-way width is.
none of us know.
You know, and if it is 60 feet, which on, maybe it's 40, I don't know what it is, I think it would be in the applicant's best interest to figure that out, and maybe if he's going to do much in terms of improvements, just do it behind it. That's my suggestion. That's not a condition of approval or anything, that's just discussion.
My only concern, really at this point, because I'm I'm all happy with everything I'm hearing, but my only concern still remains about how many of these permits are we going to allow in town?
Well, I don't think we can limit anybody because we don't have,
Well,
I think they'll be self-limiting. You're not going to get too many farmers market.
it's not that easy to grow stuff.
And matter of fact, that's a problem I'd like to have. There are just too many farmers stands around. To me, I mean,
This
that's,
is the first time ever we've had anything like this. Ever. We really, I would worry more about the restaurant stands out in the street than I would worry about this.
well, I'm certainly concerned about that.
Yeah.
they should
But
be
it's not on our docket
I'm
tonight.
putting that
but-
out there, Kyle. It'd be nice to have a planner that we can start working on some of
on
the
that,
stuff with.
yeah. So can we,
I'm
can we make
digressing.
can we make a motion?
You may, I can't.
Okay, I'm still not, I want to be comfortable with this, and it's not rocket science here at all. But I can just imagine, every street's got one, or like I said, there's somebody on these corners now, they're just doing this all on their own. I'm sure they don't have permits now.
Well,
Well, report them.
yeah.
Well,
Call
I'm
the
just
city.
doing that right
And I
now.
wonder if, this one being on such a big piece of property, even if it is in R1, that's different. It's
Yeah.
on a big piece of property, if I heard right.
I just like the idea of consistency. I don't want to tell one person yes and another person no
I don't mind
for
doing
the
that.
same thing.
Well, that's why we have CUPs.
Well, that's the consistency piece of it that's hard to justify.
But if they were in town, let's say it's in a smaller, more densely populated part of and the neighbors were coming out going, and I think the CUP process would bring that out.
All right, so why, can we make it just a precondition that it's based on neighbor approval? Or, or feedback or anything?
That's why I asked to begin with, have they all been notified? I would think that would be necessary. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, based on that, I don't have any other concerns. I just,
So
I think about the legal
don't think they have to
ramifications of
approve it, but-
inconsistency.
Yeah,
what?
I think I don't think it's going to turn into a problem.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I know, until it does, though, that's the problem. I'm just
Well,
looking
no, or
ahead.
it doesn't.
Just looking ahead.
Remember,
I know.
I do think the CUP process would take care of it, but
People are playing by the rules, then it won't be a problem.
so these two
so.
proponents are coming before us tonight have both played by the rules. The ones that you're talking about have not. And if you wish to do a public complaint to the city, that is your purview.
Right, I understand. I think it's a little bigger than that, but it's okay.
how about I try a motion? And
Go
then
for
we'll
it.
just vote. I move we approve the CUP for the Miller Produce Stand.
A little more into the mic.
I move we approve the Miller Produce Stand conditional use permit application requiring gravel on the driveways and removing any requirement for taking down the tent canopy cover every day.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It'll pass if I abstain, so I'll just abstain.
Alan moved, Paul seconded, all approved, and one abstention from Vaughn. Okay, thank you. Okay, next, the Cane Produce Stand, conditional use permit number 5. Kyle.
Great, yeah. So as we touched on a bit already, this project is basically the same as the first, but just with some minor details. I'll run through the description. This project is a conditional use permit application for the placement and operation of a produce stand to conduct on-site sales of homegrown produce on a residential property. The stand would consist of a fold-up 4-posted 10 by 10 foot canopy with a hung banner and folding tables, and customer parking would be made available on the applicant's driveway and curbside. The project is located at 510 Glenmar Drive. The application was also submitted back in June, and it too was originally a home occupation application, but the presence of on-site sales necessitated a CUP. For environmental review, this qualifies for the same categorical exemptions as the last one, class 1, 4, and 11. And so for staff findings, again, given the very limited scale of the physical stand and its operations, it is unlikely that this project would significantly alter the residential character of the neighborhood or cause a nuisance to neighboring properties. So staff recommends approval with conditions of approval. These conditions being the details of the stand and operation. This project has hours 4:30 to 6 p.m. one day a week, and parking on the driveway and the property's curb.
Commissioners, any questions? Planner. Vaughn, I'm going to let you go first.
So it's just 1 day per week?
Yeah, that's what they gave in the project description.
Do we know what the time is, 1 day per week?
Yeah, 4:30 to 6.
Okay.
What I was given, we can clarify this with the
3:30.
applicant as well.
And, okay, I don't have any of the other questions or concerns I had because of the limited time on this one, so.
Alan?
Do we know if the neighbors were notified?
Yeah, again, same as the last one, I filled out the noticing form, sent it to the city, and I assumed that that was carried out.
Okay.
I think we got at least one complaint that was the voiced.
One negative, yeah. That was the voicemail.
And was that from a neighbor,
Yeah.
adjacent neighbor?
Somewhere.
They can probably play the voicemail.
Yeah, when we do public
there's a
comments, we
voicemail.
can do,
That's
or
right.
I can play it for you because I have it on my phone.
What's it say?
I don't know, I didn't listen.
I'm the only one who saw it, I guess. Heard it.
All right, yeah,
I heard it as well.
Who? Oh, Paul did too, yeah. Okay, there we go.
okay. That's all for me.
David?
I'll ask when opponent comes up.
Paul, do you have anything you want to comment on here or ask the planner?
I would say that if this was going to be a 4-day-a-week thing, that we'd have to really strongly consider not approving it. But for an hour and a half a week, I don't think it's going to be a detriment. The only question I have is the street that it's going to be on is a cul-de-sac. And so it's not like there's going to be a lot of traffic going by at any rate of speed or even near the speed limit. I was just curious precisely where the stand was going to be. Was it going to be at the edge of the yard or back up on the driveway? And that would be the only question I had.
Pictures.
Yeah.
Pictures
So
showing.
with the pictures I was shown, it'll be basically on top of the driveway. The driveway kind of goes up a slight hill to the property. So it'd be at the top of that. And then parking would be, I believe, available on the driveway itself and then on the curb, just kind of right there, because it is at the end of a cul-de-sac.
Just why do they need a permit for this, Kyle? If it's just limited like that?
Selling.
So the language that the city has for home occupation permits basically stipulates that any sort of home business that involves having on-site sales and having customers physically show up to the residence, that triggers the conditional use permit process.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to close the questions unless anybody else has something of the planner and ask the opponent to come up and speak. Best.
Hi. I just want to be able to sell the produce at my house because I've been going to the farmer's market for several years, and I managed it for 2 years, and it's just becoming a great burden for me to lug everything down there, and I would love to have a produce stand and connect the community in my neighborhood. I really would love to sell directly to my neighbors. And I don't have nearly as much as Jim is going to have. And I don't really have enough for the farmer's market. You know, I sell out early and I sit there in the blazing heat for, like an hour and a half. And it's just becoming hard. So, I don't want to stop farming, but I would love to just sell it on my location. So, the canopy will be at the top of the driveway. I have my certified producer certificate with the county. So that means I have to have a registered scale, which has been tested. And I've also got my organic registration with the state. And I don't know what else I need to tell you, but that's why I'm doing it. I can't lug that canopy and that table and all that stuff anymore, and it's blazing hot down there. So I'm just want to do it at my house.
Are you going to be
a
a different day? Are you a different day of the week than the farmer's market?
I mean, the days are still kind of under, I think I want to do it on Thursdays. I don't remember what I said in the permit, but in my head, I've been thinking 3:30 to 6.
Yeah, you did say that.
Just like the farmer's market. That's what I have in my head, 3:30 to 6, one day a week, most likely Thursdays, to kind of
balance out.
Balance the farmer's market. I don't want to, draw customers from there. And I don't know about what Jim's days are, but we're trying to work it so that, we're not on top of each other, kind of thing.
Okay, Vaughn, you have any questions of Padge?
Well, she actually just brought up a good point. I was thinking about if we're cannibalizing the farmer's market at all downtown, that is a fair question. And I also ended up thinking about asking, and albeit too late, just exactly what is being sold. Is it just vegetables, fresh vegetables? Is that it?
Yeah, so it's mostly lettuce, greens, kale, microgreens, sunflower microgreens, summer squash, winter squash, and hopefully tomatoes. That's the big deal here is tomatoes.
Sure.
30 different plants, 12 different varieties. Tomatoes is my passion, so I'm hoping that tomatoes, are the biggest thing. I think I'll be operating maybe earlier, if I can get my timing down to have the lettuce and the greens ready, hopefully late May or June. And, the microgreens, those can come anytime. I wanted to say something about the cul-de-sac because I do have a house next door to me that is vacant. I mean, it's actually, what's the word? It's
Abandoned.
Abandoned, yeah, and it's terrible, and I wish we could do something about it, but, therefore there's less traffic, there's more parking spaces there. So I think parking won't be a problem, and like I say, I'm not going to have that much, as much as I can, but,
Have you considered putting, baskets together for people that say they want your sunflower greens and your tomatoes and they can just come and pick them up and pay?
The CSA thing, yeah. No, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
Because I was going to say, okay.
We do that a little bit at the Harvest Connection, which, we hold out here on Mondays, 12 to 1, after October, after the farmer's market closes, and people can pre-order, I'm not a big proponent of that, I have a vendor who sits next to me, Shasta Market Garden, and he does a lot of pre-order sales. And so he might have all pre-order sales and he might not have enough for the walk-in traffic, so, and then he sells all his pre-orders are picked up, then he sits there, So I kind of I don't want to do the pre-orders so much, and I really do want it to be a community thing.
Yep.
I really want to have the neighborhood come on down, kind of thing. And advertising is going to be social media. We have a little Instagram page and Facebook page. that's what young kids are for. They do that for me, you know, so. Yeah, so that's, any other questions?
Do you need more than 1 day a week?
You know, David, if I had some, in the tomato season, it could work more than 1 day a week. But right now, you know, my greens replenish, maybe enough for the next week, but I have 30 raised beds. You know, I only have less than 1/4 of an acre. And that's my entire property. And then it's all down to raised beds because of moles and voles, and gophers, you know? So everything's in a raised bed with hardware cloth. I just can't grow that much, you know? And every time I expand and put in another raised bed, I'm like, what were you thinking? You know, how much can you do? It's just a one-man show. So it's hard for me to get too much going.
Alan?
You've talked to your neighbors?
Yes, so I'm really good friends with Mandy and Eric, and they're behind me. And then Mojay, he said, I'll come. And Jim, my other neighbor, he's down. And then I went down and I spoke to Gail, and she was concerned. She wanted to know, you know, how many days a week I was doing it. But when I told her 1 day a week, she was going, oh, yeah, no problem. So those are the ones I've heard from, and everyone got a notice, everyone got a letter.
Okay.
You know, so
Oh, good.
I got
Good
a
to hear.
letter, Jim got a letter, everyone got a letter. And that,
Good.
I
Good
thought
to
was
hear.
very professional of the city to send that out. That was great. And I will need to get a business license. I've been waiting on the business license to make sure that this part went through.
Okay, that's all for me.
Who was the complainer? Was it for
I'll
this
deal with
case?
that after.
Yeah, okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, we're done. Oh, Paul. Paul?
No, I'm good. I understand completely what she's trying to accomplish and also where specifically the location, so I have none.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Do we have any public comments
No.
on this?
No, there aren't any.
Nobody. Okay. So I don't know how to deal with the one voicemail, which was so unusual.
You guys have access to it?
What?
She just put it to the microphone.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to play it for everybody, okay? And
concerns as well.
okay, we have to start over because I don't know what I'm doing.
Hello, good morning. This is Ellie Orbiton, and I am calling in regarding of the notice of a public hearing that was to notify about the conditional use permit for Kane Produce Stand. I live at 505 Meadow Street, and I'm not able to attend the meeting this evening, but I would like to put in my input, and I thought about it. I would love to be able to walk down the street and get vegetables, but really our neighborhood is fairly quiet because we're off the main drag there, and in the big picture I would give a thumbs down to having this vegetable stand in our housing area. My feelings is that it probably will bring in much more traffic. And with the traffic comes other concerns as well. But the main thing is the traffic in the neighborhood. If they would just go to the stand and turn around and go back out, that would be one thing. But there's some neighborhood area to be cruised around. So that is my input. I would prefer them not to have a fruit or vegetable stand in the neighborhood. My phone number is
Yep. Stop.
Okay. So is there any other public comment?
None.
None. Okay, I'm going to close the public part of the discussion. There we go. I don't know what it is. And commissioners, David, how do you feel about this? What do you want to do?
I'm fine with it. I think I would even be willing to allow it 2 days a week as production requires.
Allows.
Or, yeah, allows.
Or if it, yeah.
I don't know. 1 day a week to keep lettuce and stuff fresh and ripe, it doesn't seem like it's enough.
Alan?
I kind of agree, but I think we need to stick with the application
What does that mean?
in terms of length of time.
Oh,
what
yeah,
she's
no,
asking for.
yeah, that's fine.
I think. I might be wrong in that. It seems like.
Well, the only thing
we
it
should.
sounds like is tomatoes, and maybe she'll just figure out another way to deal with tomatoes when it,
Awesome tomato sauce, maybe. I don't know.
if she gets them. I mean,
Yeah.
I threw my tomato plants out because.
I'm in favor. I like the project. I like the idea.
Throw them over the fence to Jim.
Vaughn?
I feel like I'd be picking on the kid trying to sell lemonade if I said no to this thing. I'm just not going to.
Paul?
No, I have no concerns. I would say it's okay. I mean, if there was more than one person, not that one person's need is insignificant. I mean, if we were to get complaints for some reason anyway, then we'd be reviewing their permit, yes or no.
Yeah.
From what I know of the neighborhood, I just don't really see that being a problem because it's, like I said, it's at the end of a cul-de-sac, which isn't, and the street that empties into the cul-de-sac isn't that long, so it's kind of roll in, get your stuff, roll back out, make a right turn, and you're on Mount Shasta Boulevard. So I don't see a problem.
Okay. What I really appreciated about this is the fact that bringing you have a micro community there, and to bring neighbors together, they walk to get their produce instead of driving down, driving somewhere to get their produce. That's great. Like you said, you don't have, it's not a giant operation here. So I'm real comfortable with this, and I really appreciate the fact, both of you actually, even because both proponents are still here. But anyway, I really appreciate the effort that this takes. It's a lot of work to garden. I don't, as much pleasure as it may give, it's like, wow, it's a lot of work. So I will
Shall we entertain a motion?
attain a motion.
Anybody? I move we approve conditional use permit application for Pandora Cane at 510 Glenmar Drive in Mount Shasta.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
David? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Paul? Aye? Yeah. Alan moved, David seconded, and all approved the CUP for the cane produce stand. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my only notation in this whole thing is I just think we need to maybe look at an ordinance or something somewhere down the road.
Yeah, well, let's see how this goes, and then we certainly will need it. Okay, then we go on to number 6. Well, that would have been where you would have put that. You should have waited for me. Number 6 is commission and staff
I'm just
comments.
expedient tonight, that's all.
Well, it's because it's easy. Bye-bye, you too. Any other, Alan, David, Paul, any, speak up.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Yes, Paul.
Okay, so I've been waiting a couple of meetings to, this was a complaint made to me by one of the local merchants. It's regarding our signage ordinance. One of the local merchants told me, hey, Paul, what's up with the Maple Street Boardwalk? Everybody's using banner signs on the boardwalk, and I just paid $2,000 to have a sign for my business made. Why can't I have a banner? So that was the one thing. We just don't seem to have a lot of enforcement. I'm pretty sure that we're not allowed to have that as a permanent and the only sign for the businesses there. I believe all three of them on the boardwalk actually are using banner signs right now. So that's my one thing. The other thing is something that happened to me personally right on Main Street. And I've been noticing a lot, but I'm seeing particularly younger kids riding their bicycles on the sidewalk as if they were in the street. And I almost turned around and got clobbered by a kid on a bicycle right out in front of Soul Connections a couple weeks ago. And so that's just more of a complaint from me, off-gassing from my mouth. Other than, I mean, you got to see it happen, but it's like, we can't really let that, that's dangerous to let bicycles be on the sidewalk right downtown. And I would hope we could figure out a way to keep an eye on that. And, you know, got to be out in the street just like a vehicle, because a bicycle is a vehicle and vehicles aren't allowed on the sidewalk. So that's all.
Thank you, actually. Hey, Kyle, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Because you are our planner at the moment, these are the kinds of things that we would tell the planner, and the planner would, the sign one especially is something the planner person can kind of deal with. So you need to talk to the city manager and figure out how to address that. Can you do that?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. And the bikes on the sidewalk, I don't know how one, call it the police department and complain or something. I don't know, Paul, but that's a bad one too. But the banners is a planner thing.
Well, banners like that are.
I'm sorry for cutting you off.
I was just gonna say, banners like in that form are, not permitted by the city sign ordinance. So those are supposed out of compliance. So I think it's an enforcement issue for that.
Whoever that is, that one needs to get dealt with. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Vaughn?
Just the thing I already mentioned about these little pop-up things on the corners with selling produce all of a sudden.
Oh, the strawberries and oranges and whatever.
Yeah, or papayas or whatever, mangoes or
I
something.
don't know how that works.
What? Oh, those kinds of stands.
Yeah.
Do you know anything, you know those out-of-town vendors that come in with their pickup trucks loaded with papayas, which obviously aren't being grown here? Do you know if they have permits?
I don't believe so. I would assume not. I haven't seen any record of permitting.
I don't know if there's much we can do about that.
Huh?
I don't know if there's much we can do about that sort of thing. They just move on,
Yeah, you just move them.
kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just know there's a couple of them now. There was,
But you have to have an enforcement officer
Yeah.
that does it, so that's the only
and
way.
again, I'm not sure I have necessarily a problem of that, but if we're allowing them just to do it ad hoc and then we're causing other people to have to get permits, it seems bothersome.
Yeah, it's not the same.
No, I think we should
Inconsistency.
recognize that it's an unpermitted use, but I don't know what kind of effective follow-through we really have as a city.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Kyle, could you also mention that to our enforcement officer, please?
Yeah.
Thanks.
David?
Do we still have an ordinance for special events, no pets? Because 4th of July was overrun with dogs downtown.
There were a bunch.
Could you look that up for David?
I know it used to be for 4th of July or any special event downtown that you weren't allowed to bring your dogs down there, but this year was.
I read differently, though. I heard they changed
I-
that. Yeah, so I don't know what the true ordinance is.
I've seen that become more lax over the years. It was strictly enforced 5 or 6 years ago, and as time has progressed, it's just been allowed.
I'd love to have an ordinance that you cannot have your dog on the pavement over 75 degrees, and then they'd have to get their dogs somewhere else because of how hot the pavement is. I mean, that's the Humane Society, like leaving your dog in a car is against the law.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know how we're going to deal with that one. Maybe you'll get back to us at the next meeting and tell David.
Yeah, just looking at the code section on special events. It doesn't mention pets at all, but there may be a.
There used to be signs downtown that said no
Yep, and that's why I
pets.
think it got changed.
Oh, I haven't paid attention.
You know,
I'll look into it though, see what I find.
Alan, do you have anything else you want to ask him? Or do you
No,
have any
we-
comments?
We do need to get to the outdoor dining, the temporary outdoor dining facilities that we approved during COVID and kind of make a plan for how we're going to.
Yeah,
I've been hearing
priority.
a lot of complaints actually about that. I'm not sure if they're,
I'd like to do them
We
in
need an
a different
ordinance.
way.
Huh?
yeah,
There's
like
way-
maybe just
do it in a different way.
sidewalk bistro kind of thing.
Chico's done a great job.
Oh, yeah, they have.
Of,
Mountain View has a great job,
Yeah, St. Helena's done the same thing.
But they have, there's an architectural
Right.
guideline, and there's plants that you have to have, not just wooden slapdash.
well, they did, I think for what we asked them to do, I think they've done a good job. We just need to
Formalize it.
It's
formalize a
time
plan.
to scale
for-
it back a
yeah.
little bit.
Or just deal with it formally.
Well, that is actually kind of goes hand in hand with this conversation or this thing we had, last month with the bikes and the bike lanes and the slant parking and all that sort of thing. Is that going to eliminate everything at that point anyway?
No, it's all supposed to be kind of wrapped together. They're going to come up with a thing that
A
makes
thing.
it the bike lane and the parking and the
Who's
outdoor-
preparing that plan again?
Alta? Yeah, right, okay. So anyway, they've gotten tons of feedback. Lots of people have said all sorts of things about problem areas, when I've gone to their things. So they're addressing stuff, and, it's traffic and it's pedestrian. It's both, all of them.
Great.
And it's complicated. It's very complicated.
It
because our
is.
streets are crowned in the center, things like that.
Well, snow country.
Yeah.
All it's going to take is
chip and seal.
one car hitting one of those things, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be pretty
Well, they have cement bunkers on one side.
on one side, but not, I was looking at that today, actually, just as.
Yeah, anyway,
Yeah, so how do we get that on calendar, or do we?
because of COVID, we couldn't have indoor dining.
Right, I get it, but now.
No, how do we get it on the
But it was only
calendar?
supposed to
Now,
be for.
to address it.
2 years or a year?
It was temporary until the COVID restrictions were lifted.
Which they have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But.
I don't know how
because
formal the
Because of
language
our
was.
up and downs, we were going to address this problem
Yeah.
in a formal manner, and we haven't, because we don't really have we haven't had a.
Well, can
planner.
I expect maybe this Alta plan might also address outdoor
The what?
dining? The Alta plan we were just talking about for,
Yes, I
I mean,
think
it's
that's.
parking, it's everything, so maybe they'll
Patience.
follow the lead
Patience
in
is a
that as
virtue.
well. Yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see what that plan is. Because to make an ordinance without knowing what the big picture is going to
Waste of time.
get torn down or whatever. We don't know. We don't know. And we don't have anybody to help us right now.
We're looking at them.
No, he's not it. He's not. I'm sorry, Kyle, but you fill in wonderfully. But we need a person on the ground here. I don't even know where you are. Where are you?
I'm Santa Cruz. Yeah.
He's got his own traffic problems.
But yeah, I agree.
They allow downtown outdoor
do you-
dining down there.
Have you heard anything about the Alta plan and when it's coming, anything recent?
Yeah, I don't think I've heard anything related to that. Yeah, I can check with Todd about it.
Yeah, well, at some point, it'd be nice maybe to bring it to ask Todd to update us at the next planning commission meeting. That would be good.
And I don't know what the answer is, but I know that there's a lot of comment about it in town lately.
Yeah, it's plus and minuses on it. but-
Yeah.
Okay, staff, do you have anything you want to tell us, like you're leaving tomorrow or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't think so. No update right now.
Okay. All right, thank you. Future
We do
agenda
have
items.
There is a hand up here.
Oh, there's a hand up?
Uh,
It's not public
yeah.
comment, though. This is,
Somebody named Johanna.
it's okay, there's no public comment right now.
Yeah,
It's not
we're
what we
past
are.
that,
We're at
yeah.
the end
All
of
right.
the
Well, I'm just
thing.
letting you know there's one there.
Thank you very much, because it's too
Okay.
small for me to see. Future agenda items. That's Kyle. Nothing, or yes? Do we know what the,
Yeah, there's going to be a few projects that I will be adding to the agenda for the September meeting that I'm currently working on. Another conditional use permit for a bed and breakfast and a architectural design review for fire hardening for some utility poles.
Okay.
all right. And then we will adjourn, and whoops, we don't have the date for the next meeting.
Is it the 20th?
Should be the third
I think
Tuesday.
it's the 20th.
What's the date?
Tuesday.
What's the next meeting date? September what?
Yes, the 20th.
20th. We're going to adjourn the meeting of the Mount Shasta Planning Commission to the next regular meeting on September 20th, 2022. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
There it is, it's right in there.
It's so heavy. It's like you feel like you're going to break something.
All right.
Thanks,
Get
guys.
hard, get hard.